Welcome back to the Arbitrary YouTube channel. Today's class we'll be learning how to make this beautiful illusion blouse. It's a very simple blouse and it is beginner friendly. If this is what you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so for this design you can see the analysis that we have here. It has a deep plunging neckline, then a tulle net is used to replace this side. You can also leave it bare, but it's advisable to use a tulle net, and then it has like a mini yoke on top of it like this. So we are going to be drafting that on our paper now, and to do that the first one we'll be drafting is this mini yoke that we have there. So now, depending on how deep you want that yoke to be, the center part here is what I'm going to be using as my center front, and I already drafted my basic bodies here. I used a shoulder dart and a waist dart, which the shoulder dart was a bust that transferred to the shoulder, and I already have several tutorials on this, so I don't want us to keep repeating the same thing so that the video will not be unnecessarily long. If you don't know how to draft this, you may check out one of the tutorials where we have done this so that you understand it better. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to draft my yoke. Like I said, to draft the yoke part of the blouse, and then from the shoulder area here, I want the depth of the yoke to be around, I don't want it too deep, so okay, so from here now I want it to be around 6 inches. So 6 inches is around here. So I'm using this dart leg now, the first dart leg, as my reference point. So from there now I'm going to take my slightly curved ruler, and then I'm going to curve it to the center front. So now, using my curved ruler now, I'm just going to connect this, and then like I said, I don't want it too deep, so I'm just looking for a really nice curve there, and at the same time I want some form of curve effect on that point also. So I'm just trying to, okay, so I have what I want, and then I'm going to connect it like this. Okay, so for the other side also, I'm going to, remember these dart legs, I need to sew them together. So I'm just going to measure what I have there so that it will not be too much. So I have almost 4 inches here from my nipple point. This is my nipple point. So from my nipple point up to this point now, I have around 4 inches. So here also I'm going to measure the same 4 inches, and then I'm going to notice, so that I don't want this dart leg to be longer than this, so that it can be easy for me to sew. Then on that point also, I'm going to complete that yoke part, which is this. Okay, so this is the dart that will be going off, and then by the time I close it, this and this becomes the yoke part of this blouse. So now the next thing is to draft the plunging neckline, and for the plunging neckline you can see that it is below this is the underbust area, and the plunging illusion, sorry, is around 2 to 3 inches below the underbust area. So from there now, this is my underbust line here. I'm just going to go down around 2 inches or 2.5 inches, or as you may please. So I'm going down by 2 inches from that point, and then I'm just going to mirror what I have here. You can see the way the shape is. It's just a bit narrow from this armhole area before it just goes down like that. So again, I'm going to be using this dart leg as a reference point. So here I'm just going to measure like 1/4 of an inch from where this stops, 1/4 of an inch, which is here, and then from there I will take my curve and then connect to one of the dart legs here. Okay, so just watch out what I'm doing, it's not difficult, so sorry. Okay, so I've connected it like this, and then the next thing now is for me to connect from this where my illusion is going to stop all the way to the upper part. Okay, so if you have a ruler that can actually take everything at once, you can use it, but if not, you can do this also. Okay, so if you have a ruler that can take it, you just connect it from there like that. Okay, so now this is the pattern that we have. So this place is going to be cut on the net. This is going to be cut with our fabric, which is the main bodies. So this is the side front, this is the center front. all this that is going to go off, and then this is going to be our yoke. So this side also is part of the yoke. So now we'll cut this out so that we'll go over to cut it on our fabric, and then we proceed to sewing. So there are several ways you can actually sew your plunging neckline, but the easiest way that I have found so far is by separating your center front. Okay, especially if the neckline, the plunginess is very deep, it may be a bit challenging. You can see how deep this is now. It may be a bit challenging for you to sew. So a very simple way to do this is by so I want to close this dart now so that I can cut out my yoke. A very simple way to do this is by dividing the center front, which is the method I'm going to be using to sew this. I may not show us because I have a detailed tutorial already on the channel on how to sew this, so that I will not be repeating the same thing that we have done again. I'm not going to be doing that again. I'm just going to show us the steps that I'm going to be taking in doing this. Okay, so I've decided to close the dart on the upper part there. Remember, this is going to be cut on net, and we cannot have a dart on our net. It's not going to look nice. So after closing this, you may have this. I'm just going to bring in my ruler now, and then I'm going to try to blend in that area so that I can have a smooth curve. Okay, you should not have that on your net. It's not going to look nice. So I'm just trying to blend that place in so that I can have something perfect. So after that, now I'm going to cut off my yoke. I already closed the dart on the yoke also, because I don't want any dart on the yoke area. So I'm just going to reshape my hand or my shoulder. So this is the yoke, this is the net, and then I'm going to cut the dart. So I'm going to be cutting this main badges on my entire fabric. I'm using Ankara for this, and then I'm going to be using a two net for the net part. That's where we have our illusion. I'm going to be using a skin net for it, and then I'll bring it back to show us how we are going to be joining this. So if you are going to be adding lining to this, you cut your lining exactly the same way you have cut your main fabric, like this. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut this on my fabric, and the place where I'll be adding my net to, I added allowance on it. I already have my allowance on that area, so I'm not adding allowance to that. And then I don't need to add allowance to the pattern also, because a side seam allowance has been added already. So this is the yoke that I also cut on fabric. Then I added allowance on the hemline also. So the modification that I want to do for the neckline is that I want it to be like a boat neckline. And to do this, I'm just going to measure what I have here, and then I'm going to be dividing it into two. So here also, I'm just going to be going downwards. You know, this is just the natural neckline, which is 3 inches. So I'll be going downward by 1 inch here also, and then I'll connect it using my curved ruler to form like a canoe neckline. Then I'm going to cut it. I don't want to do this off camera. That was why I brought it here. Okay, so now I can cut off this, and this is my new neckline. So now to sew this, I'll be sewing it one after the other. The first one I'm going to do is to join the side seam together like this. So I'll remove this out, and like I said, you can see the center front is open. So a detailed tutorial on how you can sew the net to the plunging neckline is already on the channel, so you can check that out to see how we did that. Okay, so you can see I've gone ahead to join the center front to the side front, and this is what I have. So you can actually pad this with a gum stay or whatever it is that you want. So now we have this midpoint here, which I'll be fixing the net to. So now, like I said, to fix the net, the detailed tutorial is already on the channel. So this net now, I'm going to be sewing it, and then for easy guide now, you can just notch where your net starts. That's where the yoke starts. So from your pattern here, you're just going to be placing your pattern on it, and then I know this is where the yoke starts, so I'm just going to take my scissors and notch it, and then I'll go ahead and sew the illusion net to the bustier before I add my yoke to it. Okay, so now the net have been sewn now, and you can see that it is neatly sewn, and the sharp V that we're looking for in our plunging neckline, we have achieved this. So we have this. So if you're going to be lining this, like I said, you must have cut your main fabric the same way, and then you line it like this. That tutorial on how you can fix lining to this also is already in that video I was talking about earlier. So before I forget, when you are shaping this net part, you should be very careful and pay attention to the way you're shaping it. Remember, it's going to be replaced with a net, and if you are not willing to show so much of your boobs, you need to maybe shape it in a way that is going to be tiny or something. But this is what I want. That is why I decided to go for this. So at this point where you want to shape this, you have to be very careful and then see how you want to shape it, so that the breast will not be showing too much. Okay, so I just want to put that out. So the next thing to do after lining it, if you are lining it, is to fix your yoke. So now the yoke that we cut is our fabric. Now I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine, and then I'm going to sew it to this upper part like this. So here, so that this rough edge will not be sticking out like it's sticking out here, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch. But you know, if you're adding a lining to this, it must have taken care of all this for you. So I have a detailed tutorial on how you can add the lining to it on the channel. You want to check it out. So now I'll go ahead now and sew this on my machine. Then this, if you are going to be adding a lining to this also, you cut your line the same way like this. Then after sewing it online, so you place your lining and main fabric. The net is going to be in between your lining and main fabric, so that by the time you sew it and turn it, it will be neatly finished. Then the neckline here, you just finish it with a bias, or you just cut a facing for it. So I'll sew this now, then bring it back to show us. Okay, so this have been sewn now, and this is what we have. So now I'm just going to, you can see I just top stitched on the allowance, so that it's not going to be poking out like it was before. Now I'll take this to the mannequin so that we'll see what we have. Okay, so this is what the blouse is looking like now. This is the yoke part of the blouse, and this is the illusion part that we used a tool net for. So like I was explaining, when you are shaping this side, you have to be very careful of how much cleavage you are willing to show. So if you don't want it this open, you just know that you curve your hand in a way that is not going to show too much, and if you want it more than this, you just curve your hand more. So it depends on you and what you're willing to show. So this is the full view of the dress, and this is the center front, where I said I used the method of just opening up the central front so that I can easily fix in my net. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.